Welcome back to another episode of Those Two Dudes. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Man, another week, another jam-packed fun of football. It was a blast. Both college, NFL killed it. We're going to jump right into the NFL. We're going to talk week 2 from the Thursday game to the Sunday night game. The Monday game was all right, but man, there was just jam-packed games all in it. We're going to give our power rankings and our own polls in college football, but we're always talking about the best teams. Let's talk about some of the teams we're kind of surprised in or disappointed in or worried about because, we got to talk about those teams, man. I mean, there's definitely some teams that have surprised me, Josh. What are you seeing out there?
So we're going to talk NFL first. We're going to do NFL.
Yeah, NFL first.
Our top 10 power rankings, and we'll kind of talk about some teams that we're not really sold on right now. Maybe some teams that disappointed us. NFL-wise, I guess right off the top, I'll go with Green Bay. I know they won yesterday against Detroit. They weren't great on defense. They got whooped by the Saints week 1. They gave up, I think, 38 points to Jameis, and then they turned around and did nothing against Carolina. So I mean, Green Bay's a team we kind of expect to be up there, and I'm not sold on them right now. So I think they got some issues on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the one team that pops off. Let's see. I'm trying to think. You go ahead. I'll think about it some more.
Yeah. So one team that sticks out to me is the New Orleans Saints, and I think it's because you are who you have at quarterback, and it's Jameis Winston, and it's the same Jameis Winston that we've always known. He'll light you up for 4 touchdowns one game, and then the next 4 games he'll throw 3 touchdowns total with 15 picks. Like that's just who he is. And to think that he would be anything more, there's no proof of that. And I mean, he showed it again in this showing against Carolina. So I'm not sold. Obviously, I'm not sold on Jameis, and I'm just not sold on the Saints either.
Okay, I'll give you that. I mean, but the Saints, look, they've been really good for years. They had Drew Brees, like you said, you are what your quarterback is, kind of specifically in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we knew they had Jameis, so I don't know. Did we expect them to be good this year?
They had high hopes. They had high hopes because Sean Payton was maybe looked at as a bit of a quarterback whisperer, right? Just because him and Drew Brees, they had that connection and, they won a Super Bowl together. So he was, Sean Payton was highly sought after. So, and then also with the games that Drew Brees didn't play, like last season, how well they did with Taysom Hill at quarterback. So you figured, oh man, well, Jameis Winston has 1 full year and a full offseason with Sean Payton, like no telling what he could do. Well, there's telling, and he's still the same old Jameis Winston. But also another team, you can kind of write the book on and start looking for in the draft, I think, is the New York Giants. Those guys aren't.
I forgot about it.
Those guys aren't good. They can't catch breaks. That Thursday night game against Washington, that was a great game, a heck of a game. But I think Washington lost that game more than. The Giants lost that game more than Washington won that game.
Okay. So to piggyback off that, yes, that's I forgot about them, but we did a video with the New York
with Sam,
host, and we were talking Giants football. I did my research and to be prepared for the video and whatnot. And I was kind of sold on the Giants at that point. They brought in another tight end, so they have like 2 tight ends. They brought in some key pieces on defense. They looked like they had a solid roster. I guess the one big question mark I still had was their quarterback, Daniel Jones. And I mean, I don't know if he's the answer. She was hyped about him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the answer. They're 0-2, so it's not looking good. But like we were kind of talking about before we went on air, if there is a division you can start off 0-2 and still have a chance, it might be the NFC East. So it is a long season, especially now that there's 17 games. There's still 15 games to go. Maybe they can turn it around, but not looking good for them right now. So there's that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Shout out Sam. She's at the Girl Who Talks Sports. She's got quite a good following there, so go check her out. But those are the teams we're disappointed in, and specifically the Giants. I think they might as well start start looking ahead to the next year's draft and picking in the top 3 because that's where they're headed.
Before we get into the power rankings, not necessarily anybody that maybe is in your top 10, but do you have any surprise teams? Maybe they're in your top 10 already. Is there anybody trending up for you?
That's a good question. Yeah, I got one. I definitely have one. They're a 2-0 team. I think. They're a surprise team only because I had them dead last. And it's the Houston Texans. Or excuse me, they're 1-1. They're 1-1.
Yeah.
They lost to the Browns. They put up a good showing, but Tyrod Taylor got hurt, and I know he's going to be out this game. But that team doesn't look as bad as we all thought that they were. So, I think they're up there. I think they could be good. And also another team that I think is good, that is outside my top 10, but could be good, is the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater is looking solid. I know there was a QB competition between him and Drew Lock, which he won, and he always kind of seemed like the safe quarterback, but he's doing really good for them. Defense is looking good. Man, I like the Broncos, man. If they keep it up, they'll be in this top 10 in no time. And the AFC West, that could be one of the hardest divisions out there. So
I got 2 for you. I got 2 for you as well. 2 different ones.
Go ahead.
I got the Las Vegas Raiders with the wins against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was in our top 10. They had a great year last year, or really good. They did tail off, but they beat Pittsburgh.
Well, when we talk about our power rankings, I'll get more into the Raiders.
Okay. Yeah. So will I, but none of us expected them to be here.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You're right.
To start off the season. And then another one I got is the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
So they're 2-0.
That's a good pick. And look,
I think they got. Look, the Jets got rid of boy. I'm drawing a blank on the QB's name. What's the QB's name? Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Yeah, he's with the Panthers now. I think the biggest thing is they took a step up in defense because their defenses looked really good with games against the Jets.
Defense and quarterback. I don't think he's as bad. I don't think he was terrible.
I don't think he's bad either. I don't think he's bad.
I think he was on a terrible team, and that's part of the reason why he's not there anymore. Because that team was just terrible. But I think with Matt Rule at coach and Sam Darnold at QB, they got one of the best running backs in the league. I think they might be able to make some noise, especially with the Saints losing Drew Brees. I know you still got the Bucs there, but maybe they could be that second team in that division.
Or third team and still make the playoffs. But yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So that's a team to look out for.
Yeah. No, I agree. Panthers are there too. Yeah. Hey, well, let's dive into it, man. Let's go 10-5. Power rankings, NFL. Who you got?
Okay, 10-5. Number 10. Staying pat. They were my number 10 team last week. The Buffalo Bills. At number 9, I got Cleveland Browns. They were number 7 last week, so they dropped a couple spots. Number 8, Pittsburgh, dropping from number 4 to number 8. Number 7, the Kansas City Chiefs, the almighty Chiefs, dropping from number 2 to number 7.
Yeah.
Number 6, last week they were unranked. This week they're number 6, the Baltimore Ravens. And coming in at number 5, also unranked last week, the Las Vegas Raiders. Coming in at number 4, who is number 9.
Are you going to give me the whole 10?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Let's stop there. That's my fault. We do 5 at a time. Let's go. So go ahead.
Okay. So very similar to mine. I have at number 10, I have a tie between Seattle and Buffalo. I have it at 10. So we're right there with Buffalo. Number 9, I have Dallas. Dallas looked good. And
I figured you'd have them in there.
I have to have them on there. And I want to talk for hours about them, but I'll just keep it super simple because they had a great showing against Tampa Bay. They carried that over. They didn't look good offensively, which is what their strengths are. And they won that game based off of defense against a very offensive powered Chargers team. So this could carry a long way. And to win that game on the road too, man, that's awesome.
Well, Cowboys, it was basically a home game with all the Cowboys.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's funny. If you if you listen to our preseason NFL episode with at touchdowns and tight ends, those girls, Nicole and Ashley, I actually talked to them because they went to the game and they said it was like 60-40 Cowboys fans.
Really?
Yeah.
I was wondering what it was. I thought it was probably like 50-50.
Oh, no.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. She said all you could hear was people yelling defense whenever the Chargers were on offense. You could hear every time there was a penalty against the Cowboys, the fans were booing. Like it was so funny. And I get it. And it's funny, man, but I'm all about that Cowboys win. But going back to my list, number 8, I have Baltimore. Number 7, I have San Francisco 49ers. And then number 6, I have Cleveland Browns.
Okay, so we're somewhat similar.
So let me ask you: if Cleveland wins, and then they fall back in your rankings?
Yeah, because look, they lost to Kansas City, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kansas City needs to be above them, but Baltimore beats Kansas City, so Baltimore needs to be above Kansas City.
Yeah, but these are different.
Because of some other stuff. And look, their win was against Houston. Let's pump the brakes a little. I think they have one of the best rosters in the NFL, but their win was against Houston. So I'm kind of going by, Kansas City beat Cleveland, Baltimore beat Kansas City. So they end up dropping a couple spots.
Okay.
I guess I could have moved them up, put them over Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh had a big win. They beat Buffalo in week 1, so they had a really good win in their win compared to Cleveland's win. So
sure,
yeah, I think it's fair. I still think they're one of the best overall teams in the NFL. That's why they're still in my top 10.
Yeah,
but due to some teams, other teams beat and whatnot, I just think they had to drop a couple spots.
Okay, that's fair. I get it. I mean, yeah, new to my top 10. In the 10 through 6 range, I have Baltimore. Baltimore lost an overtime game at Vegas. Obviously, we'll get into Vegas here in a little bit because that is a for real team. And then they just won a very tough game against Kansas City. So right off the bat, they had 2 tough games. But I think Baltimore is fitting of that top 10 seed. So yeah, we'll go from there. But all right, Josh. So give me your top 5.
Okay, I think I mentioned one of them already because I got carried away. But at number 5, the Las Vegas Raiders coming in. They were unranked last week. 2 huge wins. They beat both Baltimore and Pittsburgh, correct? Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yep. I
believe it was. Yeah. So 2 of the better teams in the NFL, they beat. They're 2-0. They deserve to be in the top 5 right now. Coming in at number 4, I got San Francisco, jumping up from number 9 last week. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals coming in at jumping up from number 6 last week. And number 2, the LA Rams moving up 1 spot from number 3. And number 1, Tampa Bay Brady,
the Tampa Bay Brady's.
The Tampa Bay Brady, yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. Vegas Raiders, look, they got probably 2 most impressive wins of the season so far, arguably. So they're a top 5 team right now. Do I think they're really a top 5 team? Maybe not. Probably not. But right now, that's where they should be. 49ers, they're 2-0. We all know. I think most of us expect them to be really good. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They're 2-0.
Also, mind you, the 49ers, both of their wins have been on the road so far.
There you go. Look, that's impressive. It's hard to win in the NFL on the road. It's hard
exactly.
But you win two straight games on the road. There you go. Number 3, Cardinals. They had to come back this week. They squeaked one out.
They really squeaked one out because the guy had to miss a 34-yard field goal to win this game. So, yeah.
But look, they're 2-0. They have a huge win against the Titans. They blew the Titans out, who we all thought was going to
blew them out.
Here. So, look, they're a top 3 team right now. And the Rams, my NFC pick for the Super Bowl, coming in right behind Tampa Bay at number 2. due to Kansas. I had them at 3 last week due to Kansas City losing. They jump up one spot. They're 2-0. And then Tampa Bay, until proven otherwise, will stay at number 1. Another blowout win. Tom Brady looking like he's 24 instead of 44. Gronk catching 2 touchdown passes as well. It's ridiculous, but
you can't say enough about Tom Brady, man. You just really can't.
What about your top 5 or any arguments? What do you think about my top 5?
No. I like it. And I'll get into my top 5. And then I want to talk about 2 upcoming games in week 3 that are big for this top 10 that we have here. So my number 5, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. You have them at 5. I do think that they are fitting of a top 10 position because that team is for real. That team had a hot. They played really well last season. I know they missed the playoffs, but look, this Gruden Derek Carr relationship is working, man, and I think they could really, really make some serious noise in the AFC. Number 4, I have Arizona. Kyler Murray is a real deal. I think if the season ended today after 2 games, he'd probably win the MVP. He is putting some MVP numbers up, but I think one thing that we should be wary of is that Arizona started 2-0 last season. And obviously they didn't make the playoffs. So just something to keep an eye out on. But nonetheless, I think it is still impressive. They are playing really good. They do look better than they were last season. So we'll see how that goes. My number 3 team was Kansas City. I know they lost that game at Baltimore. That game obviously meant more to Baltimore than it did Kansas. I don't think that's indicative of how good Kansas is. They're still going to be Kansas. I think they still take the AFC. And if the game were to happen again in Baltimore in the AFC Championship game, Kansas City takes it. I'm
not going to disagree with that. I'd probably agree with that. But these are power rankings, so I think that they got to be. You got to.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I just got them at 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then look, the top 2.
Where do you have Baltimore?
I had them at number 8.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah. And then number 2, the top 2 are the same as you. I got Rams. I got Tampa Bay. Right. Until proven otherwise, those teams are going to be there. And look, this coming week, there's.
Hold up. Before we get into those.
Go ahead.
I know last week we had all 4 NFC West teams in there. I think you still do. I only got 3 this week. I only have 3 this week, but all 3 of those are in the top 4. And the 4th team's on the just out. They're just outside. So I want to talk about my just out real quick. I have basically the next 5 in no particular order. I got the Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, Seattle Seahawks, Carolina Panthers, and the Tennessee Titans. So those are my next 5. No particular order.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So 2 games to look out for this Sunday.
Okay.
Premier games. You got your first one is the Raiders versus the Chiefs. That's huge division matchup, and they're going to play each other twice this season. Obviously,
where's that game at?
I think it's in Kansas. Yeah, Kansas City. Nonetheless, if you're going to be a top 5 team, you got to win games like that. That's how you prove that you're a top 5 team. So that's going to be a heck of a game. And then also our unanimous number 1 and 2, Tampa Bay at LA Rams this Sunday.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's tasty.
So now let me ask you, is there any scenario in which Tampa Bay loses this game and they stay number 1?
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
Yeah, if Rams win that game.
Well, I didn't know if maybe they went to like overtime and like, I don't know.
Nah, I don't care about that. Go win the game.
Okay.
You want to be the number 1, you win the game.
I mean, that's going to be a heck of a game.
The better question would be is if one of these teams loses, do they stay pat where they are now?
I think I could
possible.
put.
You know what? I don't do that. But there is a way. I don't do that. If you lose, you got to drop. But you can drop just one spot.
Sure.
You can drop just one spot.
That's you. Me, I could have the Raiders losing in Kansas and it being a really like a one possession game or a last second field goal and them staying in the top 5.
I mean, look, I can't do that just because of my rules, but they do got 2 really good wins. And if they're only lost, man, this is brutal to start. They had Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Kansas City to start the season? Gosh, dang, the NFL didn't do them no favor. Man, I just realized that. But anyways, if that's their only loss and they got those other 2 wins, if it's a close loss, if they look good in the loss, they'll probably go from 5 to 6 for me, and that's it. And then Kansas City will hop back into the top 5, who I have at 7 right now. So, but yeah, that would. I mean, dang, they did Vegas no favor.
No, the NFL didn't help them one bit. But dude, I like them. I like Derek Carr. Love me some Darren Waller. Defense is looking okay. John Gruden, I was on the fence about him, but he's finally starting to come back into his own and bringing that team back up to glory. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But this NFL season is just fun, and it's fun. Even these Thursday night games, man. I have no allegiance to the Washington football team or the Giants, but that was just a great Thursday game.
It's been a lot of nail biting games.
I love it, man.
It's making it exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this up until the first week of February, but I just love watching football. Yeah. So it's just good to see that. But cool, man. Cool. We ready to move on to college?
Let's get it going. Hey,
let's get it.
NFL was great, but look, I'm a college fan first, and as good as the NFL Sunday was this weekend, college football, this is my favorite college football Saturday in quite some time, especially when you talk about COVID last year, no fans in the stadiums or limited fans, and not having that atmosphere. And not a lot of out-of-conference games and stuff like that. Well, shoot, week 3 in college football, it made up for it. And you couple that, if you couple the 2 together with the NFL and college, this was probably the best overall football weekend that I've seen in probably over a year. So it was a good weekend.
So before we get it, because we're definitely going to get into our top 25 like we did last week. Before we get into that, give me a team or 2 or 3 or however many you want that you're just not high on or that you're disappointed in.
A little bit of Miami. I wasn't super high on them anyway.
Are you disappointed?
I think every year there's a few teams that get overrated, name brand teams specifically.
This being one of them.
People want Miami to be good again, so they pump them up. But they did have a lot returning. De'Aaron King is supposed to be a really good college quarterback. I thought he was at Houston. So I thought maybe I expected a little bit more out of them, I guess.
Yeah.
They get blown out by Bama. I kind of expected that. They barely beat App State. App State's a pretty good team, but if you're supposed to be Miami, if you're Miami again,
you got to win that game by more. You got to cover the spread.
And then to top it off, they go and get blown out by Michigan State
at home.
So yeah, I would say probably Miami number 1. Anybody else? Let me think.
I got a couple, but I'll see if you have any more.
I can't think of any off top. I'm sure there are some more.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me 1 or 2, and I'll keep thinking about it.
Yeah. So just with how they had a slow start to the season last season, once they figured it out with Spencer Radcliffe and the team took off, Oklahoma Sooners, they look like primed. They look like they were a prime position to take over this season, blow everybody out the water and get that playoff spot. They just haven't showed it, man. They had that close game against Tulane. Then they play Nebraska, who's not good, and they have another close game there. And these are at home too. You gotta dominate, man. I don't know that I'm sold on Oklahoma. And honestly, if we're talking about every year, there really isn't. I mean, this is just the Oklahoma team that we're essentially used to seeing. I just thought because they have a returning quarterback that, they would take it to the next level, especially under Lincoln Riley.
I'll piggyback off that a little bit. So yeah, Oklahoma. Look, they barely beat Tulane. Who else did they struggle? They struggled against somebody else too.
Nebraska. The Nebraska this past weekend.
Okay, they struggled with Nebraska. Yeah,
Nebraska's not good.
They won at the end of the game or something, I believe, right?
Well, they just won by a touchdown.
Right. And then, look, they said that they were supposed to have their best defense in years. That's why everybody was thinking, hey, this is their year to actually not just make the playoffs, but actually compete for a national championship.
Yeah, win a game in the playoffs.
There. But like you said, Rattler, maybe not as good as people expected just yet. He's still young. I think he's still qualified or technically a sophomore. The defense, I don't think has looked as good as people thought it was going to be. So I don't know. Yeah, look, they're still undefeated. They still got a chance, especially.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not saying that they're, that they're not good. They're undefeated, right? And I think at this point in the season, that's all that matters. But it's just getting the win. But in the fashion in which they got these wins, if you're a top 5 team, they're not supposed to all be this close.
Nah, you're right. And now that we're talking about, I got a couple more. Both Ohio State and Clemson. Specifically, I would say Clemson.
That was my other one is Clemson too.
I didn't see Clemson really dropping off. I know, look, they don't have Trevor Lawrence, but everybody thought DJ was going to, I'm not even going to try to say his last name. Everybody
got it wrong last time too.
Right. That's why I'm not going to say it. But everybody thought he was going to, after how he filled in spots for Trevor Lawrence last year, people thought he was just going to jump in, they'll pick up where they were. Yeah. That hasn't been the case. They beat Georgia Tech 14-8, and they had to get like a goal line stand on the last possession to come out with the win. Georgia Tech lost to Northern Illinois.
It's not even the real problem with Clemson is their offense.
Yeah, they can't score.
They can't score. They didn't score a touchdown against Georgia. Well, granted, Georgia they're on another level.
Right. That's different. You kind of
that is different.
A little bit past, especially in the first game of the year, DJ's first time leading the squad.
Prime time game.
A little bit of a pass, but then after what they do, Georgia Tech, bro. That's not a good.
That's a home game. Georgia Tech, no, that's completely unacceptable. And if I'm North Carolina, Virginia Tech, other above average ACC teams, I'm watching that game like, oh man, we really have a shot against Clemson if we play them this year.
And look, unless there's some teams that don't go undefeated, the ACC is one of the weakest.
Yeah, Power 5. Yeah.
They don't have the schedule really to be winning just close games after they already lost to Georgia.
Sure.
Against ACC teams.
Yeah.
Especially a bad ACC team. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's not even good if they were. I don't even know if they'd win some of the smaller conferences. Honestly, I don't think they would win like the Mountain West. Georgia Tech wouldn't win the Mountain.
Georgia Tech's not good. Georgia Tech's not good. They're not winning anything. I don't know. You don't even have to name a conference. They're not winning that conference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they barely squeaked by a win against them. So, man, I'm being generous to even put them where I have them in my top 25 this week. So
that's fair.
I also wanted to mention Ohio State. I kind of seen it coming a little bit, but I thought they're Ohio State.
They'll figure it out. Yeah.
But the defense hasn't looked that good as they already had some issues last year with the defense.
And also it should be noted that the Big Ten is on the up this year. They're really good this year, the Big Ten.
The Big Ten's looking pretty good, specifically, I would say Penn State, then Iowa.
Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa, all looking good.
Okay, we talked about some of our down teams that you just mentioned, Michigan State. That's my surprise team right now because I wasn't sold on their coach. I wasn't sold on them. I thought they were going to be awful this year. Look, they got to win. They whooped Miami. Who else did they whoop? They whooped somebody the first game of the year.
Northwestern.
I know Northwestern ain't that good.
But to win that game at Northwestern.
At Northwestern.
That's good because that's a conference game.
They whooped Miami at Miami. They're 3-0. That's my surprise team right now. So there's that.
I got two other down teams. One of them is Utah in the Pac-12. Had high hopes for them. They were ranked. Now they're 1-2. And on top of that, I just read today that Charlie Brewer, starting quarterback, he got benched, but he's leaving the program.
He's leaving
entirely. So
after transferring from Baylor,
to
play Utah, he started the first 3 games, but then he got benched during this past game.
Yeah.
And now he's no longer with the program. That's interesting. I wonder what all led to that. But
so Utah is on the list of my disappointments. And then there's Florida State, which Florida State is about a season away from being delegated to the 1AA. I don't know what I don't know what I don't know what the answer is at Florida State. I know I've heard people, just athletes, but I don't really know how much merit there is to it, but they're lobbying for Deion Sanders to be head coach at Florida State. Maybe that'll up recruiting, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is at Florida State. It's certainly not their coach now, but I don't know. I guess you just got to start.
It's not his fault. I don't know. What is he in year 2 or is this year 3 for him? If this is only year 2, then he look. This team was in a bad shape before he even got there.
After Willie Taggart,
the O-line still isn't very good. That's probably the main thing. They got to get better offensive line. I don't know. Yeah, that team's in a world of hurt. But anyways,
all right,
let's jump into it.
So let's jump into it. 25-21. Who do you have?
Coming in number 25, they're staying where they were last week, North Carolina. Coming in at number 24, unranked last week, the San Diego State Aztecs.
Okay.
Coming in at number 23, unranked last week, the Michigan Wolverine. Coming in at number 22, unranked last week, the Kansas State Wildcats.
Okay.
And coming in at number 21, dropping 1 spot from last week after a narrow loss, the Florida Gators.
At 20? At 21?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
They haven't really, they weren't impressed. They weren't too impressive in their 2 victories. I know their loss was impressive because it was Bama, but it was also a home game.
Sure. And you could also argue the loss was more impressive than their 2 wins.
Exactly. But if that's the case, you can't be ranked too high.
That's fair. And obviously we'll see how the season plays out because they have a lot more of those gauntlet games throughout the season.
Yeah, they definitely have the opportunity to build their way back into the top 10. So right now, 21 I think is fair. 2-1.
That's fine.
2 great wins. There you go.
Okay, so 25, I have Kansas State, what you said. At 24, I have Liberty. You'd be proud to see them in my top 25.
There you go. Finally, the Flames.
At 23, I have North Carolina.
Okay.
At 22, I have Auburn. I know that was they had a tough loss at Penn State, but that's a tough place to play, and that was I think Auburn's a good team. I do. And then at 21, unranked last week, Fresno State.
Okay.
I have Fresno State at 21.
The only one that you said that I'm not sold on is Auburn.
Yeah.
But they don't have no impressive wins.
No, they don't. But almost the same situation as Florida, where their loss was more impressive than their wins. And look, again, they're in the SEC. It's all going to play out within the next few weeks how good they really are.
Okay.
So, but look, I
need to mention some teams that I dropped out that didn't necessarily lose last week. But last week I believe Wisconsin and TCU at 23 and 24. Mm-hmm. Neither of them played this week, so they didn't necessarily drop out because of something they did wrong. It's just they didn't play, and there were some teams that had some impressive wins that now have more impressive resumes that kind of caused them to drop out. But they're literally like my next 2 teams in. I got Wisconsin at 26 and TCU at 26.
I got to imagine because there's some good games this weekend. Wisconsin and Notre Dame. If Wisconsin wins that game, I gotta imagine they'll be back in the top 25.
They could make a big jump into the top 25 with that win. And TCU, they got SMU. SMU's 3-0. It took a Hail Mary to get them 3-0.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're 3-0. It's a rivalry game, and they're my 2017. So if they win, they're likely going to be back in here as well. So a couple more teams on my just to briefly mention them. Memphis Tigers got a huge win against Mississippi State this weekend. They're 3-0. And Maryland Terrapins, they're 3-0 as well. So
also, I do want to throw out there that our podcast, we've been getting some notes about our top 25, and that's some questions as to why isn't UTSA in our top 25 or receiving votes. Look, I'll tell you why. I'll explain that why. Because they
beat Memphis.
They have Memphis this week.
Be there. Yeah.
They have Memphis this week. That's one thing. But also their best win was against a one-win Illinois team. So, you got to keep winning those games. I understand you're 3-0, but you got to keep winning those games because, nobody knows you really, and you're not playing anybody. But when you beat teams like Memphis, you're going to get there.
Illinois, it's not a great win. Like I said, they only got one win, but it's a decent win for them. If they beat Memphis, who's 3-0 right now, and Memphis beat Mississippi State, they'll at the very least be on my receiving votes, my just out list coming in next week. So they got a big game. I think they're 3.5-point underdogs going into Memphis. I think they have a great chance, honestly, because of their line play.
Yeah.
I don't think Memphis is necessarily great on the line. I think Memphis probably has the better athletes, like skill position players, but I'd probably give the advantage to the line play to actually UTSA. So they got a chance to get up there. So there's a shout out to UTSA for
shout out UTSA. And then also I did want to mention in my top 21, which I had at 21, Fresno State. I think that team, look, they're 2-1, but knowing who their one loss was at Oregon, lost by a touchdown. Mm-hmm. That team could be serious this year. Mm-hmm. That team could be really serious.
Fresno State is they're actually 3-1. They played in week
3-1. I'm sorry, they played week 0. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But they got the great win against UCLA and a close loss to who we have in our top 5, Oregon. They're still to come for me. So just to mention that.
Cool. Anyway. All right, so let's go into it. 20-16. Who do you have?
So 20-16. Coming in at number 20, they dropped a few spots, not really due to anything they did wrong this week, but just other teams starting to have more impressive resumes. Number 20 is Iowa State. Number 19, the Virginia Tech Hokies. After a loss this week, they've dropped 6 spots from number 13 last week in my poll. Number 18 coming in they were unranked last week. Number 18, the Fresno State Bulldogs after their great win against UCLA this past weekend. Number 17, I have coming in. They were unranked last week. Michigan State after their blowout win against Miami. And number 16, staying where they were, barely squeaking by with the win, Coastal Carolina.
I didn't like that squeaking by win, but whatever. They got it.
They were up double digits.
I saw the game.
And then Buffalo got a late touchdown to make it a little closer than it was. But they're going to need to start playing a little bit better if they're going to want to stay there or even move up. So there's that.
Okay. Virginia Tech made it right outside my top 25. They're not in it.
Okay.
But obviously
that's fair. I think part of that was probably because you had them a little bit lower than I did last week. Mm-hmm. They lose, so they got to drop out, right? Yeah. I had them pretty high because of their big upset against North Carolina.
Yeah.
So they drop, but they don't drop all the way. They're not going from 13 to out.
Yeah, and obviously there's definitely, look, there's absolute opportunities that they could be back in this. They seem to be a decent team this year, so we'll see how that goes. My top 20-16, 20, I have Wisconsin. We'll see how, look, that's going to change. They're playing Notre Dame this week, so that is absolutely going to change. My 19, initially unranked, I have Michigan State. just like you said, for that dominating win against Miami, being 3-0. Michigan State, let's go. And then number 18, I saw you had them in your 25 through 21, but number 18, I have Michigan. I'm high on Michigan. I'm high on Michigan because they haven't necessarily played anybody of importance except Washington, but it turns out Washington's not that good this year. But for the same reason that we've been getting on Oklahoma for not beating teams handily, Michigan has. They've been putting 40-plus points up a game against everybody. Except Washington, I think they beat them 31-10 or something like that. But so Michigan has been beating teams the way they should be. So correct. I think that definitely says something. It means something that they're doing that. My number 17, I have Iowa State, and then 16, I have Coastal Carolina. I think you had them too at 16.
Yep, thanks.
So we're pretty even there. Okay, so 15 to 11. Who do you have?
Okay, coming in at 15, staying put where they were last week, the Liberty Flames. Number 14, I got the Ole Miss Rebels. And they moved up. They moved from 18 to 14. Number 13, moving up one spot from 14, the Arkansas Razorback. Number 12, dropping down one spot, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And coming in at number 11, also dropping down one spot, the Clemson Tigers.
Okay, I like that. What do you think?
Anything stick out? I know you don't necessarily like Liberty all the way at 15, but a large part of that has to do with last year, what they did and everything they brought back.
So tell me, why the huge jump for Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, just look, there were some teams that fell, like Virginia Tech. They fell from 13 to 19. Is
it just by virtue of losses?
I think Ole Miss has looked more impressive than Iowa State. They dropped. That's another team they jumped because Iowa State was 17 and they were 18. So they also jumped Iowa State. Who fell out of my top? Let's see. UCLA, who I think I had somewhere in that range. They fell out after their loss. So that's another spot they moved up. Yeah, it was due to some teams. Well,
that's fine. That happens in college.
More impressive than Iowa State, and then other teams dropping down caused them to kind of move up. So that's that.
Okay. My 15 through 11, I have at 15, I have Arkansas. That is absolutely going to change because they have a huge game this weekend. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Number 14, I got BYU. BYU is looking good. I definitely know that there's room for movement there for them to go upwards. 13, I have Notre Dame. I'm still not big on Notre Dame. I know they finally got a win that wasn't a nail biter, but I'm just not big on Notre Dame. Number 12, I have Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss for all the reasons you said. And then who'd you say you had Clemson at 11?
Mm-hmm.
I have Clemson at 11.
Okay. So we agree with a lot in our 15 through 11 range. The one thing that I'm gonna push back on a little bit is BYU. I think you have them too low.
I have them at 15 or 14.
Yeah, I think you got them too low. They got I think they're 3-0. They got 2 top 25 wins, both against Pac-12 schools right now.
Yeah.
In Arizona State and their rival Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, you consider what they did last year. I think they're just too low. But other than that, I look, you're 15 through 11. We're pretty much on the same page.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, 10 to 6, who do you have?
Coming in at number 10, dropping down just one spot, you got the Ohio State Buckeyes. Coming in at number 9, from number 12 last week, you got the BYU Cougars. Coming in at number 8, you got the A&M Aggies. Coming in at number 7, dropping one spot, you got the Oklahoma Sooners. And coming in at number 6, moving up from number 8, you got the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Okay. That was a good win by Cincinnati at Indiana this week.
Yeah, they started off very slow.
I thought it was going to be, it turned out not to be as close as the score indicated.
Desmond Ritter's a streaky quarterback. He wasn't doing good at first, and it showed. And then once he got going, it showed because they started doing really well, and they pulled away. So, yes, a very good win on the road against what's supposed to be a pretty good Indiana team. And it sets up a huge matchup in 2 weeks against Notre Dame. So there you go.
Okay.
Anything you don't agree with? I guess you don't necessarily agree with BYU being in.
Yeah, with BYU, but other than that, it's pretty much on par with what I have. You have Oklahoma a little bit lower than where I have them, but I mean, it'll play out. It'll play itself out, and I think where these conversations about our rankings really start to get hot and heavy is, like come November. That's when. That's when
it's tough, especially when you've only played 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
You can slide a team up 5 spots or so. You can put another it's a lot of.
Yeah, it's really interchangeable, but once you start getting closer and closer into the season, that's when you're like, oh, should I? Are they really? Like, you'll know how good a team is. My 10-6, I had them at 11 last week. Look, it's Florida. I have Florida at 10. And we just talked about this. I think this is more about their loss than it is their wins because it's not a surprise. I'm sure you do too. We have Alabama at number 1, but the way Florida played, you got to think that they exposed Alabama in some way. So, we'll see. Again, we'll see how that goes because this season, much sooner than later, will show how good Florida really is. But for now, I have them at 10. My number 9, I have Ohio State. We'll see how they right the ship. At number 8, I have Texas A&M. I think you have them at 8 also. At number 7, I have Cincinnati. And then at number 6, I have Penn State. Penn State had that huge win against Auburn.
Okay.
I know that's going to be a tough conference, but I got Penn State at 6.
I think I have more disagreements with you in your 10 through 6, definitely than your 15 through 11. We agree with a lot there. Florida at 10. Look, no impressive wins really. Yes, they lost close to Alabama, but they still lost. It was at home.
I feel like Alabama plays better on the road, though.
Perhaps, but look, they were at the Swamp. They lost, no impressive wins. They lost their last 3 games of last year. I just don't know if we could justify putting them in the top 10 just yet, especially when you had them at 11 last week and they're coming off a loss. Yeah. If there's anybody you can move up against after a loss, I give you that it's Alabama, but still, that just makes me hurt.
No, I get it. I totally understand. Yeah.
But and then other than that, you got who was your 6?
Penn State.
You got them too low. They're top 5 right now with their impressive. Who did they just beat? They just beat Auburn. And they've beaten Wisconsin. They've beaten Wisconsin and Auburn.
Yeah.
That's too low. And then we were just talking about how Oklahoma's not looked great.
I understand that.
I assume they're in your top 5 because you haven't mentioned them yet.
Yeah, of course. Again, right? These rankings will absolutely change. And it's because it's early in the season. Like, we haven't gotten a full resume. So, should these rankings play out?
So, but look, I got to question that, though, because look, Penn State got Auburn. I believe they're 3-0. They got Wisconsin. And then you got an Oklahoma team who barely beat Tulane.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why. As of right now, through 3 games in college football between Oklahoma and Penn State, the reason it's still too early. So I have them based on what they've been recently, stemming from last season. So, like, I know what Oklahoma was last season with Spencer Rattler. I know what they can be. They can be really good. I'm not sure about Penn State yet. That's why I have them at 6. That's why I said with the way this season plays out, we're gonna know how good this team are.
I think we know Penn State's really good. I don't know that we know they're great just yet.
Yeah,
but we know they're really good. Like, they struggle. Their record-wise, they struggled last year, but they lost some close games. And if you look at their numbers compared to their win-loss, like their offensive and defensive numbers, it didn't match up with their win-loss. Like, they were better than what the record kind of said they were last year. Granted, look, if you have a bad record, your ranking shouldn't be good. But this year they got a really they're 3-0 with 2 really good wins. Like, I think they've earned a top 5 spot.
That's fair. That's fair. And look, I mean, same what we said about, Arkansas, Auburn, all these other teams in premier conferences, that it's gonna show real soon how good they really are because of how good their conference is. Same for Penn State. The Big Ten's really good. So we're gonna know a lot sooner than later how good these teams really are. Oklahoma, I feel like, the next road Big 12 team that they have, you just got to keep an eye out on because, that's usually their time when they lose one game, which is always against a team that they shouldn't lose. So the fact that they've had a lot of close games already is a little worrisome, but look, we'll see how it goes. Well, yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Okay. Let's get into our top 5.
Go ahead. 5-1.
Number 5, my 1 through 5 is the same. I had a lot of movements other places, but my 5 through 1 is the same. Number 5, I got Penn State. Number 4, I got the Oregon Ducks. Number 3, I got the Iowa Hawkeyes. Number 2, the Georgia Bulldogs, and number 1, Alabama. No changes there for me.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's changes there because you have Penn State at 5.
They were 5. That's where they already were.
No, but last week they were 5?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had Penn State at 5 last week.
Oh, I don't remember that. Okay.
Well,
yeah, my top. Well, so that's probably why our rankings are different then. Okay, so my top 5, I have Oklahoma at 5. I have Iowa at 4, Oregon at 3. Those 2 are interchangeable. And then I have Georgia at 2 and Alabama at 1.
Okay. The only thing I don't think Oklahoma should be in the top 5 right now. You could argue they shouldn't even be number 7 where I have them. But other than that, yes, it's good. So you didn't. The only thing ours is the same. Our top 5 is the same, other than Penn State and Oklahoma, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously with that, let's look ahead, Josh. Let's look to this coming week. I'm looking at the schedules right now. What are some games that you like? Either games you're excited to see, or just like some potential upsets that you think that could happen.
You caught me a little bit off guard. I don't have the schedule right in front of me.
I'll tell you what. I'll name some out there. And tell me what you think. Right off the bat, I'm looking at Kansas State, number 25, at Oklahoma State, who's right outside my top 25 after a big win against Boise.
That's actually, I believe the spread is 6.5. I think Oklahoma State is a 6.5 point favorite.
I got 7. I got it. As of a few hours ago, Oklahoma State is 7? A 7-point favorite.
Okay, well, I put a few shingles on that one. I took Kansas State. I think 7 points is a little too high. As far as who wins the game, man, that's a close one. I'm gonna roll with Kansas State. With Kansas State. Oklahoma State hasn't looked pretty. They beat Boise. That's a good win, especially on the Smurf turf. But they won by 1 point. They struggled against Tulsa. Tulsa's 0-3 right now. I'm gonna roll with Kansas State.
All right. What about this one? On the heels of their nail-biting loss against Clemson, Georgia Tech is hosting North Carolina.
North Carolina is going to destroy them.
You think so?
Yeah. Georgia Tech isn't a good team. They should win by 2+ touchdowns. Okay,
so then on that very same note, Clemson, after their nail-biting win, they got a game at North Carolina State, NC State.
Okay. North Carolina State's getting hyped up a little bit. I know, but Clemson, I think eventually you're going to turn it on a little bit. I think this is the week they do it. This is the week I hope they do it. This is another game I put money on. So, Clemson, I think they're -10 right now. I took Clemson. I think.
Let me ask you, if Clemson loses this game, are they still in the top 25?
Yes, because we know they have talent, but they're
down there.
Gee. So what's the record right now? 2-1?
Who, Clemson? 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. So they'd be 2-2. Yeah, they're going to be in the 21 to 25 range if they lose this game, and that's being generous.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't expect them to lose though, but yeah, if they did, they're dropping into the 21 to 25 range.
All right, I got another one that could potentially be an upset alert. And the line is even right now. I got Iowa State at Baylor, or maybe the line's not up because it's
No. Iowa State was a 7-point favorite.
Okay, because for whatever reason the line's not showing. But
Look,
Iowa State at Baylor.
These teams are similar in the way they're not a fast-paced offense. They're not gonna air it out. They're gonna try to run the ball. Both teams are gonna do the same thing. So the score I could see being because of that, I could see it being a lower scoring game, which could also make it a closer game. I think Iowa State's the better team, so they'll probably win. But it might be pretty close. I didn't bet on this one because I'm not comfortable one way or another.
Yeah.
I think Iowa State, I really think Iowa State's going to win. I don't know if it's going to be by more than 7 or not. So I think lower scoring game, kind of close because of the play styles of both teams. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Okay. So I got 2 more games for you. This game, neutral site in Jerry World, Texas A&M versus Arkansas.
Man, I'm not a big SEC fan. I don't really like going for those teams, but I'm pumped for this game. I like this game. Look, that's an old school rivalry. You got A&M and Arkansas, border states right here, both in the same conference now.
And from what I've seen, the spread is 5.5 in favor of Texas A&M.
That's what I got it at. I got it at 5.5, and I took Arkansas. So I'm going to roll with the Razorbacks. I don't know to win the game, but it's going to be close.
To cover the spread at least. Okay.
Yeah, cover the spread. If I had to guess, I'm gonna roll with Arkansas. I'm gonna roll with Arkansas for the upset win.
Hey, that's a huge win for them, man. That is a huge win.
Yeah. So
honestly, I hope they win. I hope Arkansas wins to validate the Longhorns' loss.
Oh yeah, man, that would be hell of a look. That'd be a great recruiting pitch for them if they could beat both Texas and Texas A&M in the same year. So I know they're being in Arkansas. They do. Texas is probably their main recruiting ground. So yeah, that'd be huge for them. So yeah, that'd be nice if they could do that. So
and then last game I got here with the spread. I got Notre Dame versus Wisconsin in Wisconsin, or excuse me, it's actually at Soldier Field in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago.
But the spread is 4.5 in favor of Wisconsin. So who do you got taking this game?
I think I got it when it was at 5.5 or 5 or maybe 5 something. I took Notre Dame. I think another situation where look, 2 teams that are going to kind of try to run the ball a little bit, not necessarily fast-paced teams. Notre Dame has the former Wisconsin quarterback. You know he's going to win and do good. I think this is going to be a close game. As far as win-loss, I'm gonna roll with Notre Dame. I know they haven't looked good this year. I think that's probably part of the reason the spread is where it is right now. I think they're gonna pull this one out with Wisconsin.
I think it's definitely a true neutral zone game because it's in Chicago. Obviously, Notre Dame's in Indiana.
I would guess Notre Dame probably travels a little bit better, right?
Well, it's a Midwest thing. I don't know. I think Midwest teams travel pretty well within the Midwest.
Okay.
So and I'm sure there's a ton of Wisconsin alum that live in the Chicago area. But either way, I mean, I could see that stadium being 50-50. But that's gonna be a fun game.
You got any of the non-A5 conference teams that have any interesting games this week?
I haven't even looked at that schedule. I'll be honest with you, I have not.
I know Utah State got Boise State. Boise State's they've lost 2 close games already, but we know they're not terrible. And Utah State's 3-0 right now. Not really sure how good they are. They beat Washington State. They won a close game against Air Force, but they are 3-0. So that's kind of exciting for them. I think they're like 9.5-point underdogs right now.
Hey, real quick though, at what point does Texas State do away with their football program?
Let's not do this. I didn't even bring them up. Why are you bringing them up?
Because they lost to Incarnate. They lost to Incarnate Ward. They lost to Incarnate Ward. Like their football program, like I probably have food in my pantry that's older than their football program.
Yes, you might. They're from San Antonio too.
Yes.
This kills us in recruiting because we go head to head with UTSA for the same players. This is bad. It's bad.
And the fact that they go to head to head.
if you would have seen Texas State Twitter, people were they're fed up. Like, they're ready to move on with the new coach. We just got a new AD. The other one retired. We got a new AD. So it's not out of the question that he could say, hey, I'm going to go hire my own coach. I'm the AD now. I didn't.
Yeah, he has no affiliation to that coach.
No, he doesn't. So he can do that. Nothing's been said yet. Maybe they let him ride out a few more games to see if he turns it around. I don't know. But this is year 3.
But dude,
you don't lose to an FCS team in year 3. And maybe if you're year 1 and you've taken over a bad team, which we were, okay, I'll give you that. But by the time you get to year 3, most of these players now are the players you decided to bring on to the team. You can't lose to an FCS team, especially not an FCS team that isn't necessarily great. They're not North Dakota State. They're not Montana.
It's Incarnate Ward.
Yeah, Incarnate Ward from San Antonio, who was, like you said, like 10 years ago, didn't even have a football team. So, I don't know what to say. But
I mean, look, I did see something about, because right now, Texas State and their rival UTSA, they're in polar opposite directions right now. UTSA is 3-0. You know, they're trending upwards significantly. And Texas State, they're trending to see if they can even, make a game decent. But I mean, Texas State cannot claim to be rivals with UTSA if they cannot beat Incarnate Ward.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I give this coach one benefit. I mean, he's gotten us to where we were getting whooped every game. So pretty much every game's close now. We just can't win. But if you can't even beat the FCS team, bro, yes, there's issues, man. That's unacceptable. Like, unacceptable. I'm kind of speechless. Like, in the heat of the moment when it happened, I was like, look, we gotta find him. We need to I'm done. Look, we need to wait a couple more games, I guess.
Did you go to the game?
I did, and I left early. I watched the end of it here. But yeah, it wasn't pretty. Our secondary, the main thing was our secondary was just getting torched. Like, they didn't even exist by FCS receivers and FCS, bro. You can't get torched. Like, they were doing whatever they wanted. We gave up 42 points.
42 points in Incarnate Ward. That's insane.
It is. It really is. And look, we were only I think we started off as 11-point favorites going into the week. It worked its way down to 9.5. When I seen it was at 9.5, I was like, uh-oh. I even posted a meme on Twitter, uh-oh. And then sure enough, I still didn't think we were going to necessarily lose, but I wasn't completely confident either at that point. And we lost. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough being a Bobcat fan, that's for sure. But look, other than that, though, look, I'm glad it happened when it did. Our worst loss in history at least happened in one of the best weeks I've had in football for a while. Like I said, I won some money, and all the games were exciting, both sides, NFL and college football. So there were upsets. Fresno State beat UCLA, which I watched after Texas State lost. So that made me feel a little bit better because I like those kind of games. So yeah, if it had to happen, I'm glad it happened when it did. But yeah, they need to fix their crap, whatever we're doing here in San Marcos. But yeah,
I got you. Okay. Well, hey man, we're starting to get in the thick of things now, man. College football is back. It's running. NFL is back. It's getting everybody hyped. It's making us all lazy on the weekends, which I love. So it's just a good time. Plus, we're filming this on the Tuesday. Tomorrow, the 22nd, is the first day of fall. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. We're officially in fall. We're about a week and a half away from the month of October, which means all the scary movies and all the football. I'll take it all, man. Especially here in Texas, we look forward to any period of the year that isn't considered summer because that's not very many months of the year. Yeah, we live in Texas where, let me tell y'all, I know we got listeners all over America right now, but right now we have a cold front coming in this week where the high is supposed to be in the mid 80s. And I know everybody went and got out their sweaters and they got out their sweatpants and they're loading up on their Starbucks, the pumpkin spice lattes and all that. So, hey, man, I'm all for it. I'm all for this cold weather. I can't wait.
Let's go.
But yeah, man, we're super excited. We'll keep doing this. Drop a comment. Let us know who we got wrong, what y'all think about any upsets, surprises y'all see coming. Hit us up at Those Two Dudes Podcast on Instagram, Those Two Dudes on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. Obviously, YouTube, that's our main outlet. Check us out everywhere.
And definitely hit the notification bell. That way y'all can get updated whenever we drop a video, and y'all can hate on our top 25 if y'all want, or love it, like it, whatever y'all want to do. Let us know. And just hit that notification.
Hit the notification bell. Let us know. Like and subscribe. Check us out, guys. It's been that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Like and subscribe, guys. Push that notification bell. Let's go.